everyone, so this is our departmental video for History, International Relations and Politics. So just on our snowy day then, before we head in the wall, we thought we'd show you a bit of our campus. You can have a little look at our fountain and our gateway building. Still a bit of snow for you here. So what we're going to do is we're just going to head into here, and this is our gateway building. Warmer inside the gateway building. So here as well, just before we head to our academics, then we also have a mental health day on campus, so we thought we'd show you a little bit about that as well and what we have to offer here.
Hello, I'm Josie. I'm the university's mental health and wellbeing advisor. So today's University Mental Health Day, so we've got a whole host of activities and events on to promote staff and student wellbeing. We've got mindfulness, we've got agencies coming in such as Add Action, we've got WISC coming in, we've got an anxiety session, we've got loads and loads of stuff going on, so it's just to promote student wellbeing, staff wellbeing.
Yeah, great. So you can see we have a table of freebies as well and some information for all our students. So this is our gateway building then, our gateway desk. We always say if any students have any questions to approach the gateway desk as well, and then we have our employability hub as well. So we'll turn it back on us then.
So we're going to go and head down to see one of our history lecturers, Catalina. She deals with international relations as well, so she can talk a little bit about the course, any questions you might have, and kind of how students get on and the kind of things that they move on to do once they've left university. So, still in the gateway foyer, and she should be in here. Hi. So, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Yeah, okay. So I'm Catalina Montoya Londoño. I'm lecturer in international relations in the Department of History and Politics. I'm also the director of the Master's Degree in International Relations and the director of the Archbishop Desmond Tutu Center for War and Peace Studies.
Cool. And what kind of things can students expect from the International Relations undergraduate course?
So on the first year, the course is very focused on the history of international relations, also to get them to know regions, so to get familiar with issues around the Asia, Middle East, Latin America, Europe, to get to know concepts such as power, security, the state, so get familiar with the vocabulary we're going to manage throughout the 3 years. Mm-hmm. Second year is about theories of international relations proper and about global issues in international relations. And in addition to that, students take one seminar on the EU foreign policy and one seminar on UK foreign policy, British foreign policy. And on the third year, which is most kind of research-based teaching, basically, they're going to concentrate much more in issues of war and peace, so just war, issues around security and human security, issues about why conflict happen, what can we do to prevent conflict, to manage peace processes, etc., etc. So it's much more focused on issues on war and peace.
Mm-hmm. And what kind of support is available for students if they're kind of combining the course of international relations as well with things like history? What's available for them whilst they're studying?
So academically, this is a very supportive atmosphere. They've got, along all the kind of standard resources that the university offers, they've got the Tutu Center for War and Peace Studies that is always offering spaces of, events, people that is coming to talk to that and enrich the topics they're seeing through talks from practitioners, people that is actually in real life, either researching or doing policy on areas that we're talking about. We have a very close relation with the students in terms of feedback, in terms of making them go through reports to improve their writing, so the feedback that we offer is very, very, very close. We are kind of with them throughout the 3 years, kind of developing their skills. When they get to exam period, we normally will do exam preparation with them. So it's a course where we know students by name, and we're normally available, as in a full-time basis. We're available for them.
And what kind of careers do students usually go into once they finish their undergraduate?
Well, it's quite varied because the thing with international relations and politics is that there are very good foundations for a set of skills that will allow them to go into either the public sector, the private sector, the third sector, if they wish, or the education sector is a really strong. It provides a very strong foundations for whatever sector they want to go with, and that's because international relations has given them a set of skills that have to do with understanding the world, having a critical approach to decision making, to organizing society to its goals. So it's really varied. So there will be people that go into education, there will be people that go into journalism, there will be people that go to international organizations and diplomacy. There is people also that get into politics, as in parliamentarian politics. There is people that will go into activism in the third sector. So it's really, really broad.
Thank you. I think that's everything. So we are going to back now to meet one of our other tutors for history. This is Sonia, and she'll be one of our students who he's currently studying history.
He is, yes. So he did his undergraduate here at Hope. He also did his masters at Hope, and I think Tom is now starting his PhD at Hope as well. So all studying history. So we'll go and pick his brains about the course and student experience and things like that. So we'll get that information for you. So for anyone interested in studying history at Hope, hopefully just put your questions in and we'll get them answered for you as well.
So I think this is the office.
Hi there, you okay? So here we have Sonia and Tom as well, so our academic. Sonia, what can students expect from the course?
Yeah, hi. So from the history course, what we do is, first of all, I suppose the fact that we're based in Liverpool, we make as much use as possible of all the resources. There's a rich wealth of history resources in Liverpool. We've got a partnership with National Museums Liverpool, so immediately students start from first year, we're bringing them out and about, bring them down to the museum, Slavery Museum, the Maritime Museum, as well as different historic sites that are actually in the area as well. So even just around the corner, there's Childwall Church, which is an example of, I don't know what year that was built in, do you tell me?
It was pre-Reformation, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's pre-Reformation, so students go to sites like that. So part and parcel is actually getting people out and about as well as being in the classroom. The other elements of the actual course from the beginning would be, the first element is 20th century modern history, European history that students would start with in the first year. So it's a mix of lectures, seminars then, where there'd be smaller groups of about 20, 25 students, and they would work on more kind of details about that lecture topic. So it might be World War One. They'll work it out a little bit more on different documents and sources in the seminars, and then there's a tutorial group of 10 students. So then again, it'd be even, kind of more detailed work that they're doing.
Yeah, great. So, what careers do some of the students go into then? Is there any particular career paths?
Yeah, it's quite mixed actually. We have a number of students who are actually now working in the National Museums in Liverpool. So some students will actually go directly into museums. Quite a number of our students, like Tom, actually will go on to postgraduate, so into a master's, and Tom will tell you about it again in a minute. He's now gone on to a PhD, so some students will want to do academia and actually research, teach, or write about history as well. So that's a big element. But history is very useful for any jobs that you need analysis or writing skills. So we have people going into things like journalism, research environment jobs as well. Quite a broad range actually.
Yeah, great. So how are students assessed on the course, on the history course?
Yeah, the assessment there's a nice broad range in first year. Those 10, that small group of like 10 to 12 students will have a portfolio, so they're completing documents and different assignments week by week. So it means that there's a staged assessment. So we would hate to think of somebody starting off and then they get to Christmas and they do an exam or something and they're hit with a bad grade. That doesn't happen here. We also don't have exams at Christmas time. They're only once a year at the end of the year. But by the time the student will get to the exam, they'll nearly know the type of grade that they're going to get, because there's a range of essays, portfolios, even things like when they go and visit the museums, there'll be an assessment of an exhibition down at the museum, or when they go on field work like the Childwall Church, it'll be give us an assessment of a historic site. So rather than just kind of those, you know, historical essays, they're quite varied in assignments.
Yeah, thank you. So, Tom, so do you just want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Tom Millay. I'm doing a PhD in history at the moment. It's focusing on food waste and food poverty throughout Britain and France.
Oh, great. So you did your undergraduate, I hope, as well. Did you study history?
Yeah.
and masters.
And my masters
as well. Yeah. So Tom's one of our long-standing students and still here.
And a bit with me.
So just tell us a little bit about your experience of the undergraduate course and what you found from.
Yeah, of course. Well, as Dr. Tiernan mentioned before about the assessment criteria, it's really good the way it's integrated, because you come in, like in first year undergraduate, and you do maybe a 500 to 800 word essay, and it's just to see where you're at. So there's no real pressure on you, just to assess each student. Like when you get your grades back, maybe you need to work on referencing, or maybe you need to work on how you integrate different sources. And it's just to really prompt you for the bigger essay, which is about 2,000 words. So it really helps with the students' integration within the course. As for the course itself, it's a really broad range. So you come in and do 20th century history, but also the politics side as well in first year. I mean, there's an option to keep that on right through your undergraduate course, but it really helps, because if you don't know a lot about politics, or you're not that interested in politics, they really help integrate it, because some of the questions can be geared towards specific ideology like fascism or communism. So you can gear it more towards history if you like, or if you really are interested in politics, you can go really in depth into the topic.
Yeah, so it's more like students get a choice in basically what they're writing in their essays and things. So is there any particular like field trips or field work that you think was most enjoyable for you? Like what was your favourite?
Some of the field trips. In fact, part of first and second year we did a early modern period as well. So we looked at witchcraft, and we also looked at the Tudor period as well. So we visited Hardwick Hall in first year, and that was really an eye-opener to see the architecture of like Tudor England. So we've seen Hardwick Hall. There's two buildings: the ruins, and then the new building, which isn't as big. But it really gives you an idea, like the grandeur of the Tudor period and like what they were trying to express. But it was like I didn't know much about early modern England at that time, like, but it really helps to bring that out of you, like.
Yeah, good. And we've got a question here as well from Nicole. So thanks for that, Nicole. We've got Tom, as a student, what's it like to study at Hope? Just Hope in general as the university.
Yeah. No, Hope. I've loved every minute of being at Hope. I mean, you really get the sense of being in a community at Hope. It's not as big as other universities, but you don't feel as like you're just a number. You really are part of the university. You know, the lecturers are really accessible. Any problems, you can come see them with anything at all, especially academic related. It all fits really nicely, and the atmosphere around Hope's really great place to work. Really enjoyed it.
Great, thank you. So thanks for that, Tom. So I'll just switch it now. So what we'll do is we've got another history tutor to speak to as well, an academic. So we're going to head over. I think Katie's going to take you there. We've got Bryce.
Thank you. Yes. So we have Bryce, who's also a history lecturer, and he'll be able to tell you a little bit about kind of a little bit more about the course, potentially any again combinations, and what students find best in terms of that, and what they tend to find most enjoyable. So just walking back through to the gateway now.
So we also like to wish Tom some best of luck with his PhD as well. Well, just after we've spoken to him, really keen on the subject.
So Bryce should be in here. Hi. Hello, do you want to introduce yourself?
So my name is Bryce Evans. I'm Associate Professor in History here at Liverpool Hope University, and I'm about to close the window because it's very cold. Thank you very much. So, good to have you here. Welcome to my office.
Thank you.
I suppose what I'd highlight about our provision here in history is the range of courses we have and topics within those courses on offer. So in the first year, if we just sort of pan over here to the bookshelf, students are really going to get early modern English history and broad European history, so broadly European stuff. but which covers all the key junctures really in modern history. And then as they progress, if you look on the shelf here, my subject specialism is actually around food history. So by the time they get into third year, they're able to specialise a little bit more. So you see a lot of my books here around food. Look at, I mean, what better book than that? The history and social influence of the potato. I mean, is there anything better than that? So a lot of my stuff's around food history. There's also a substantial component in the second year around Irish history, so there's a lot of Irish history specialists here, as the bookshelves again would suggest. Another thing I'd probably highlight for prospective students is you're going to get research-informed teaching, and you've probably had a sample of that already, but if you just look at a couple of books here, so a couple of books that I've published myself, a couple there, one more here. Basically, a lot of the teaching is going to be based on direct research from works like that. So there's an extra sort of value added, I suppose, in that. But it's more than about the curriculum, really. It's about the study skills we give the students, critical and analytical skills, the ability to sift through evidence, different types of evidence. But also it's about student experience. So in terms of field trips, we run a lot of field trips at home and abroad. For example, in the past, down to the National Archives in London, Imperial War Museum, local museums here. We very much believe in using the city as campus. I mean, what better historical city than Liverpool in terms of the Slavery Museum, National Museums, Liverpool, etc. Trips a little bit further afield, places like Poland, France, Germany. So there's a lot that students get in terms of academic rigour, the variety of topics on offer, and extracurricular stuff, which again relates back to their study. In terms of assessments, we don't believe, like in the bad old days when I was at university, you crammed at the end and everything rested on your finals. That doesn't happen these days. Today you have a variety of assessments which suit different learners. Some people work better with things like poster presentations in class, than they do with long essays. So it's varied, it's mixed up. Obviously with history, you're going to have to do quite a bit of reading, but there's a lot of study support there for you, a lot of good library resources, and a range of assessments really as well, so verbal and more kinesthetic in terms of presentation, as well as your sort of formal long essay. And then of course the dreaded exams, but they're less of a massive thing than they were perhaps in the past. Mm-hmm. So variety of assessments, variety of topics. I really think Liverpool Hope has a rich, really rich offering in terms of our history delivery.
Thank you so much. I think that's everything. Yeah. So we'll head back.
Okay, you're more than welcome.
And hopefully that's been helpful for some of you who are maybe thinking about choosing history, the kind of course combinations that we offer, international relations, politics, and how those all tie in and link together. If you have any questions in the meantime or after this video has been posted, just add them in the comments and we will be able to get back in contact with you. Yeah. I think the next Facebook Live is going to be around computer science, and we're looking around March the 5th for that Monday, March the 5th. It's going to be a little bit about maths and stuff as well. It's about 5:30 that we'll be doing that. So
yeah. In the meantime, if you do have any questions, maybe you don't want to post in this, you'll find us on the student room as well, so you can also speak to us there.
Bye.
Bye.